Borough complies with the notice provisions of the Sunshine Law by adopting prior to January 10th of this year, resolution prescribing the date, times, and locations of all regular meetings of the commission. This meeting is one of the meetings listed in such resolution, and copies of the resolution were by January 10th filed with the borough clerk.
Any motion to file the December 1st minutes? So moved.
Second.
And a motion to file the following reports: tax collector, municipal court, zoning, and the 2025 annual tax collector report. So moved.
Second.
And we have the first reading of ordinance 1826 to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
So the public comment and the second reading of this will be on February 2nd. We do it every year. They requested.
Commissioner Manley,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson Riley,
Yes.
Mayor Solano Ward.
Yes.
We have two appointments. Appointing Captain John Klein to the rank of Deputy Police Chief for the.
Public comment on the resolutions.
I think we're going to do the oaths and then we'll do public comment after.
Oh,
Is that okay?
okay. Just it's a resolution, but okay.
Should I open up the public comment for those two resolutions?
One resolution. For the amendment,
For the two, yeah, the two appointments before you. Does anybody have a comment on the resolution agenda? Appointing Captain John Klein to the rank, excuse me, of Deputy Police Chief for the Borough of Collinswood, and appointing Sergeant Eric Roseborough to the rank of Police Captain for the Borough of Collinswood.
Yes.
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 Yeah. I agree. Council members. What have we done? Will be that.
Well, it won't be something like that.
Right. I should tell you guys not to repeat after me like my kids.
The other 20 of the clients aren't coming up?
No.
No? Okay.
Ready? I,
I,
John Klein,
John Klein,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the state and to the government
and to the same and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties as Deputy Police Chief
all the duties as Deputy Police Chief
for the Borough of Collinswood Police Department
for the Borough of Collinswood Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. Great, thank you so much.
So are the other 15 of the Roseboro going to come up as well? Clients win, right? Clients win.
I,
I,
Eric Roseborough,
Eric Roseborough,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same and to the government
to the same and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
as police captain for the Borough of Collinswood Police Department,
as police captain for the Borough of Collinswood Police Department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I just want to comment that it's still always frightening to see kids from the Little League teams. Not as frightening as when they first got guns. It's still frightening.
Everyone that was so kind to come to watch these oaths of office, if you would like to continue your evenings, you are so welcome to go home. If you want to continue for the rest of all of these, you are welcome as well. But this is your moment to exit stage left. No hesitation. Thank
Oh, I know. I know, we are.
Finally, a cop does something. How about that? Thank you.
Following appointments, appointing police officers, and we're gonna do this as a consent agenda, it'll be a vote at the end of the appointments. Appointing police officers, William Ortiz, Daniel Russo, Michael Craig, second, Shane, and Annabelle Helper. Coordinator and representative of the Denny County Community Development Authority, the Borough of Collingswood. Reappointing Wayne Giordano as tax collector for the Borough of Collingswood. Reappointing Gretchen Flecky as the zoning officer for the Borough of Collingswood. Reappointing Steve DiOrio as recycling coordinator, water superintendent, and superintendent of the public works at the Borough of Collingswood. Reappointing Andrew Walker as safety coordinator and stormwater management coordinator. Reappointing Mark Laggy as as-needed electrical inspector and electrical subcode official for the Borough of Collingswood Construction Department. Appointing Albert Hallworth as part-time building inspector for the Borough of Collingswood. Appointing Robert Allen as fire subcode official and appointing as fire inspector for the Borough of Collins Department. And then this is for the municipal court personnel, reappointing municipal court judge Brian K. Herman, municipal court administrator Harold Lafada, Susan Sharkey as municipal court reporter, Christine DeVivo as municipal violations clerk, court clerk, and Eric Ross as municipal court bailiff. We were reappointing special law enforcement officers, Victoria Sheffield, Kevin Dugan, Mandela Brown, Joseph Rivera, Hazel Fraley, and reappointing special law enforcement officer class 2, Robert Sheffield. Reappointing Danielle Couple as clerical receptionist for the Collinswood Police Department. Appointing Elizabeth Stokes as part-time treasurer for the Borough of Collinswood. Appointing Mary Donofrio as to the Collinswood Library as a library assistant. And reappointing Commissioner Amy Henderson Riley to the Collinswood Planning Board as a class 3 member. Do I have her in-house appointments?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, the next will be the professional service contracts, and I will be going through these.
Listen, Paul, I would just ask that, we could do it by consent, I would ask to pull so we can talk separately about Dilworth Paxton and Borough Solicitor.
Okay.
They're both fine.
Okay. Authorizing professional service contracts to, I can go through its consent. Correct?
So, yeah, I'm okay with the consent except for that one.
Alrighty. Barber Consulting as information technology consultants, Brown and Connery as labor counsel, Connor Strong Companies as risk management consultant, Phoenix Advisors LLC as financial advisor, Archer Reiner as bond counsel, Ford Scott and Associates as the municipal auditor, Remington and Vernon as municipal engineers and land use engineer, Tiffany DeVello LLC as Cohen consultant, Charles Whittington as municipal public defender, Timothy Higgins as municipal prosecutor, Brett Wilson as a steward board solicitor, Madden and Madden as land use solicitor, independent animal control for animal control services, Zeller and Zalsko as special counsel, I'm sorry,
His first name is Matt, he's Matt.
okay. As special counsel for conflict matters. Authorizing an agreement with the Board Mead Animal Shelter for the 2026 shelter services. Authorizing an agreement with Edmonds Associates for the software support in 2026.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and then, we have one for appointing Dilworth Paxton and Borough Solicitor.
Yes.
I just have a comment before I can vote, which is that, this appointment, is replacing Brown Connery, who's been the borough solicitor for 25, 30 years maybe. And it is my, so it's 26 years. So it's my opinion that Joe Nardi and the firm is being fired because of the opinion that he gave on December 1st on the conflict of interest issue. My colleagues have been on the board for 7 months now. They have been working with Joe. We just finished up last month the Fair Share Housing, the Affordable Housing Settlement Agreement. They've been working through agreements, working on everything. Everything's been going along just fine. Not a complaint, not a comment, not a problem. I had believed all the appointments, as you see here, most every appointment is just folks being reappointed. There's one change. There's one change. One other change. But Nardi is being let go because he gave an opinion December 1st that the mayor had a conflict of interest. She disagreed with that. Today, a judge decided that was accurate, that was a correct decision. And that's why, ever since then, that's why he's being let go.
What was the
And
correct
last,
decision?
let me let me speak, okay? So and then on the process for this, there was our governing now is I get little spreadsheets where we can by email click off who we think should be appointed. When I got the one where the mayor indicated that she would not be going with Brown Connery, I said, I emailed back, that's a pretty big change. we should probably have a discussion about that. And I didn't get any response to that. And then Friday night, the agenda came out from our clerk. And in that agenda, that's where it had this change being made. I did not see it Friday night. I was out of town Friday night. It came in around 7, 8 o'clock at night. I took note of it this morning when one of the attorneys of Brown Connery said, we probably should not be addressing this tax appeal issue since there's going to be new counsel. The process, it hasn't even been transparent between the three of us. I'm not even, I'll tell you what, let me finish talking, you can talk all night. I get a little email, I ask questions, I get no responses, it gets changed. They'll vote for a vote tonight. This is not the way this government should be operating. I vote no. No offense, counsel. I already told them, no offense, not the person. I vote no.
Well,
Can I ask who fired him?
Well, he's not being reappointed,
Oh, so it's a choice of,
being decided right now.
So. I'm gonna read what I had prepared about Jim and Artie. And then I will answer some of the slightly misleading comments from Commissioner. First and foremost, we want to thank Joe Nardi for his long-standing commitment to the borough. He has served as the borough solicitor since 1999. It is our job to ensure the next 20 years in Collinswood see as much growth and success as the last 20. To do so, we feel there is a fundamental need to pass the forward. We are lucky to have members of our staff like our clerk and CFO with years and years of experience and governing body members like Jim with over 30 years of experience. What we don't want is to come to a day where all of our institutional knowledge walks off into the sunset of retirement or the new outside the borough endeavor at the same time. In that vein, we are going to be appointing Douglas Paxton as our new borough solicitor. Hila Norcia, joining us on the dike tonight, is a solicitor for Howell Township as well as Bordentown Township Fire District, and her firm represents over 70 municipalities as bond counsel and special counsel as well. She is a former Haddon resident and Collinswood homeowner and is excited to work alongside us all. I understand the importance of continuity. However, which is why, although we opened our RFP for all the positions that you just heard us agree to, the professional services contract, we received 4 categories with more than one option. For financial advisors, we relied on Jim's past experiences and appointed Phoenix advisors accordingly. For bond counsel, our CFO weighed in, and we are appointing Arthur Greiner at her behest. I say all of this because it's important for the public to know that we may not always agree, but we do weigh all of these decisions carefully and are taking experienced staff insights into consideration. Information was shared. We had all of the full applications come in by mid-November. They were all available to all 3 of us. There were only 4 options. There were only 4 categories where there were multiple applications. I sent information for everyone to indicate what they believe. I was out of the country, and I let Jim know that if he would like to speak with Amy, they could have a conversation. I was literally out of cell phone service, and if they could write up, and I would take all the points into consideration, to which there was no response. I'm going to launch into this a little more during my public comment at the end, but we're going to be having open public work sessions because it is unfair to you all to hear one version of how much he gets and what emails he gets and what he doesn't get, and then you have to believe me or him or Amy, and that's just not fair to any of you. So we're going to find a time once a month where we can set our agenda, we can discuss these things, and you can see what information we have, what information our staff is providing us with, what we're working off of, and what we are using to make our decisions for all of our residents. There is no campaign here to hide information from anyone. It's a matter of how dirty you want to get your hands on all of the work that it takes, or if you're just going to say yes to the things that come along. And we are doing our very best to dig into every topic we need to make a decision on. I really hope that we can work towards an open work session, which I'll talk more at the end, let's keep going, yeah, thank you.
No, I did not. I heard, Chanel.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, we have the following resolution. Usually the housekeeping, that we usually, swear a year, approving a cash management plan for the Borough of Collinswood in 2026.
Yes.
Yeah. Approving depositories for the Borough of Collinswood funds in 2026 with Park Bank.
Yeah.
Yes.
Approving year 2026 temporary budget appropriations. Yeah.
Yes.
Approving the interest and grace period on taxes, water and sewer in 2026.
Yeah.
Authorizing the tax assessor to file appeals in 2026.
Yes.
Designating the official newspapers for legal advertising. Authorizing to apply to the DEP, New Jersey Forest Service Urban and Community Forestry Program for a leaf compost grant.
Yes.
Yes. And authorizing a change order number 1 for the Pocket Park project with Ben Cavers.
Yeah.
And approving their payment of bills in general water and sewer accounts.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit more about the open public work sessions. In Haddon Township, they call them offices. In Haddonfield, they call them open public work sessions. Essentially, they're a monthly meeting in addition to the meeting you're seeing right now. Increasing transparency and the public receives deliberation among staff and commissioners. Ideally, it'd be during the workday in consideration for staff's time. 7 to 10 days before the agenda comes out, so that it can be where you build the meat of what is going into the agenda. They may not be at the same day and time every month because we do have a lot of schedules to accommodate, and I want to be mindful of that. I understand it is an extra lift. But I think it is very important. I think it's something we haven't done thus far, but we should be doing. So please stay tuned as we iron out the details. We will have to post those with the new help me out here, the new standards in 2026. If the meetings need to be posted within 48
For meeting chat, that's 48 hours.
so within 48 hours. And then they'll also be available online as to when these public meetings are. They'll also be recorded. So you can watch them and there'll be minutes, just as there are of meetings. For planning board, I'd like to say that we'll be having a full-time appointment as well as an alternate appointment. The deadline for that would be January 16th. That's not this Friday, but the next Friday. If you already applied and you sent your resume and you want to like send me another email saying still interested, that would be greatly appreciated. All you really need to do, if I already have your information, please just email dsalonaward@collinswood.com. And I've got two.
A couple things. One is, related to, it's a great idea to have meetings and would love to know more of what's going on. There was a hearing today on many of you, I think, have heard of the lawsuit that I filed in order to invalidate the contract with Virtua. We have gone into court asking for what they call an injunction, what they call temporary restraints to stop the contract. That was heard this afternoon. The court granted our request for relief. I don't know the status of the virtual contract that was signed. I haven't seen anything. I checked with the clerk today if there was any, that she had one, that she didn't have one. So that occurred. There will be further discussions or further conferences by the court on the matter about whether or not it becomes permanent. I expect that it will. But as a result of that, I want to, two things. One is going forward on this. I think that there needs to be a public process to address EMS. I think that I would love to see the memo, the report that the chief prepared and turned into the mayor and the deputy mayor. I'd love to see all the information that was provided. I'd love us to work together to try to come up with a solution and involve the public in it. Because so far, the process has not involved the public at one step. There's been not one mention at meetings other than authorize an RFP, award a contract. That's it. It's gotta be, a couple other towns have done work with their EMS and have literally been in public processes for a year to come up with a solution that works for everyone. So on the fire EMS, I want us to move forward on, happy to be a part of that. And the second is this whole issue has raised, at least for me, more of an awareness and understanding of the difficulty of there being three. If we had had an instance where a person recused themselves because there was some type of a conflict, and that would leave it to two people, and if there was disagreement as to a policy, it wouldn't move forward, okay? And for our town, that's probably not the best thing. There's provisions for expanding the size of the commission from 3 to 5. And I know it was a topic in the last campaign. And I think it's a really good idea. I think it makes a lot of sense. And this conflict kind of highlights what the issue is. So I'm going to, I've already drafted an ordinance, which I'll circulate to our new solicitor and commissioners about expanding us from 3 to 5 to try to resolve that. And that's all I have. So you know what? I have one other issue. Parker McKay is not being reappointed as conflict counsel. They're working on an investigation, an internal investigation right now. I presume they'll be continuing that work?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. All right. Leave it there. That's all I have. Thanks.
Yeah, so again, piggybacking about the EMS, today, we were in court, as has been mentioned, which paused the contract until further order. Of course, this is ongoing litigation, so we're not going to comment much more on this, but I do just want to say that I feel really deeply about the fire department, the personnel there, and the safety of this town. Our ultimate goal, I think for all three of us, is to support our rural professionals to the best of our ability while providing for the public safety. And I remain committed, whatever that process is going to look like, to addressing really pressing staffing issues and then fall volume we are experiencing and have experienced for the last 3 years. So that's all I have to say on that. Want to mention a couple of upcoming events. If you haven't seen yet, we are having Collinswood January Restaurant Week, which is January 12th through 15th. Multiple restaurants are participating, which is fantastic. I already made one reservation so far for my husband and I, and plan to make more. So do mark that. It's a great time to patronize our restaurants in winter time. Of course, later this month in January, we'll be honoring the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Jr. His call for justice, equality, and nonviolence continues to guide communities like ours in Collinswood as we work to ensure families and forgiveness for all. Dr. King, of course, reminds us that meaningful change begins right here at the local level through service, civic engagement, and respect for one another. So may we all recommit ourselves to treat our community to be the best of our ability, such as we can. Do consider some upcoming events. There's a great service event that's happening at the library. That's something that people can check, so we should check it out. Where we have the upcoming Snowball Gala, which is a fan favorite, happening at the end of the month. I think tickets are still on sale now, so grab those tickets. The police are doing a reaccreditation and they're on-site assessment. So there is a chance for participation on that. I know that's been out on the police social media as well. For in-person, we want to repeat for the window of time. For the specific change, when you run a specific window of time, that we can call. Is it at 19? There's a window of time to call. The time that I'm like 11 a.m. on Monday the 19th. Real quick on, MLK Day, Embracing Race is, partnering up with the Lawnside Historical Society. And this Thursday, the 8th at, 6:30, there is a virtual Zoom reading of Letter from Birmingham Joe. There's 42 different local leaders that are going to be reading a segment from it. We'll be posting on social media, an event beforehand, but then let's be involved and hear more about it. Stay tuned to social media for more information about that. Open it up to you all, people who be here, public comment.
Geraldine Rock, 740 Meadowwood Avenue. Question for Mayor Solano. So I went to one of your campaign events in the spring, and you personally told me that one thing you were going to consider if you got elected was eliminating the library in favor of joining the Camden County library system. So as a library user, I just wanted to find out if that is on the agenda anytime in the next 4 years.
I remember that day, the upside, we were the only one who came to that event. We had 2.5 hours, just as me, Jared. I did not say that we were going to be eliminating the library.
You said you were going to consider it as a cost saving measure, among other things.
That was very early in the campaign before I learned that the Camden County, there is no world in which we could become part of the Camden County 8-hour library. We missed that window. The Camden Township Library is part of the Camden County system, so we wouldn't have a library if we joined the county system. Which is why you didn't hear me talk about it at all anymore else during the campaign.
I bring this up because I lived in a town that joined the Camden Town Library System and we lost our
Yeah,
library. So,
that's pretty good with what happened here as well, so.
great.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Larry DiGiovanni, 745 Merrick Avenue. I would like to know why there wasn't a public meeting about the EMS. Because you know something, sometimes when you do things in government, it affects everyone. Leadership's not about just making decisions, snap decisions. You include everybody, the taxpayers, constituents, everybody involved. Okay? And I was kind of dismayed with what was going on. And what's going on here now, okay? And the 2 for 1, everybody has to compromise, okay? We're not one against the other, and this is what I'm seeing. This disturbs me. I lived here almost 49 years, and I can tell you, I saw many commission boards in my time being here, okay? And everything ran very smooth. Everything was coordinated. And everything moved like a fine watch. I can't stand by and listen to this without having a public comment or public input. My tax dollars are going toward this. And I don't want to be left out of some type of decision that's made by 2 people, 1 person, that puts me in a position where I might have to move. I've lived here a long time. I like this town. I'll tell you the truth. I'd like to take my house and move it somewhere else, but I can't. But I do like this town. And I'm not going to stand by and watch this. So I would appreciate when we make decisions, let's make them on behalf of the constituents in this town. And I remember your campaign. I have it on Zoom still. It's on my phone. And I remember everybody on that board, what they spoke about. Because I have a pretty good memory, even though I'm an older guy. But things like that really stick in my head. And I'm not for or against any one person. Okay, this is not me against you, you against me, or anything else. Vendettas have no business in government. That's how things go awry. But I would appreciate when somebody's making decisions like this to coordinate. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I think one of the biggest things and why these open public meetings are so necessary is that right now, we don't have a reason to believe that all the things discussed were discussed amongst the 3 of us. It's just, I say it, you say it didn't happen, whatever. But I have emails, We had multiple meetings with our administrator, when we talked about all the options, we talked about the different prices of these different options. And it wasn't out of the ether, it wasn't made in a split second, the information that Chief Joy shared with, Commissioner Henderson Riley, and myself, was not information that was not shared with Commissioner Bailey. And unless we have these open meetings where you can see us talking about these things, you don't have a reason to believe me, and I understand that. And I understand that's disturbing, and I understand that that Collins is not used to seeing dissent of here. It's never happened before. I mean, I'm sure it has 40 years ago, it's been a long time. But that doesn't mean we're all just going to acquiesce to a different, and yes, there is compromise, and there is ways, but the compromise can't be to just do nothing for EMS and just let them continue going on as they've been going on, give them an extra part-timer, one extra person. You know, that's been the status quo, and it's why we are where we are today. And it's just not enough. And what we're primarily focused on is the well-being of a Collins resident who calls an ambulance. And how quickly that is going to get there, and most importantly, what is going to be happening on your fire truck while that ambulance is out. So, we are very lucky to have Chief Joyce with many years of experience that we have to rely on. We have to trust that when he's saying his department needs these things, we choose to believe him. Thank you very much.
So listen, but that's why there was no public meetings about
One,
it, because we know what's
I
about.
just want to rebut that.
Yeah.
My question wasn't to dismiss anybody from the EMS, okay? I support everybody as a first responder, okay? My point is, give them all the help they need, give them more help, okay? But let the public know. That there's ways to do that, okay? That's all I'm saying. I didn't say you shouldn't do that. I don't want to be misinterpreted, and I don't like words put in my mouth, okay? That's what I'm stating, all right? Thank you.
My name is Eileen Reinheimer. I've lived here for 13 years and I love this town. But I was a nurse for close to 40 and had a lot of experience. And I feel insulted that public was not told about this. You know, my health happens to be good, but I'm 70 years old. And I would like to have a say in with the ambulance and the quality of the EMS people and all that. It's really insulting to have done this. Poof, it's done. And then Jim gets upset. I mean, you're young, you don't have any major health problems, I don't think, but did you ever think that people would be insulted by what you did? Does anybody else feel insulted in the room?
Absolutely.
Not at all.
No?
I think it's insulting that you're assuming everyone else's health needs.
Let's do the public comment to us and then.
Ours is excited. Sorry.
I just know, I mean, I've been out with the EMS crews and I was a nurse for so long. I know what it's like when people are sick. And the quality of the care they get and their family gets when there's an emergency matters. And I just feel like we were all ignored. That's all I want.
I couldn't agree more. It matters.
Well, then
Quality
say
of care.
sorry. For what? For not telling anybody that this was happening.
It sounds like a
I'm sorry.
mischaracterization.
Yeah.
But maybe there's misinformation in the paper, but how did it happen that nobody ever knew the fact and nobody was ever told about a meeting? I voted for you, Danielle, and I voted for you, Jim. So I don't have a side. I just have a feeling of being ignored.
Thank you.
I just want to be clear. I do that every time, so sorry. Goes for lunch of 194 launch I have. I just want to ask a point of clarification. You did discuss this RFP for privatization of EMS services at a public meeting, correct? And the RFP was posted publicly, correct? So I really feels like a mischaracterization to say that this was somehow hidden from the public. It followed the same standard procedure that any other RFP or contract award at municipal level would follow. So this idea that it was hidden from the public is a mischaracterization. Now, this idea for caucus meetings, absolutely love it, and I love that you love it, because I remember when you were running for office in 2001. I asked you about that, and you said it was silly, no, we don't need to do that, my opponents are silly. You said the same thing about 5 commissioners at that time too.
You know, Joe, it's great that you can recite what I said in 2001.
2021.
So I want to just address your issue that, what about
Well,
public?
actually, I actually wasn't done.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Wait till you finish.
I'm thrilled about the caucus meeting, because frankly, we do need this out in the air, right, we do. We can't have a situation where one commissioner is sliding the other 2 commissioners with lies, half truths, and selected things. So I think that is great. I think that's all.
Are you done? Oh, you are done. So I wanted to talk about public engagement, okay? Posting an RFP. First off, there are no legal standards for posting an RFP, okay? Posting it is not engagement of the public, okay? And I'll just give you an example. When the borough was going to go spend a significant amount of money to build a new police and fire building, okay? We held 10 meetings on that topic. We took people on tours of the existing buildings to help them understand the condition of the buildings. We got them involved in the design of those buildings. Public engagement does not mean legal notices are on the bulletin board. If you want to know what we're doing, make sure you stop by sometime and read it off the bulletin board. That's not what it is. Listen, I found out, I have an email from the mayor when I wrote to her and said, in November, saying, hey, it's great to see that this has already been decided, and I haven't been in any of these emails. And she's like, nothing's decided, okay? And then 2 weeks later, it's put on the agenda without any discussion, no talk, okay? So and in that time, from when this started in July or August, up until an award in November, there was a town forum. There's town criers. There's these meetings, not discussed, okay? If you're gonna engage the public in something like changing EMS service, the borough needs to do work. We need to work to get people involved. We send them postcards, we send them notes, we send out missives that say, hey, yo, listen, we're thinking about doing this. We want to hear, like, pay attention here, we want to do something. That's public engagement, okay? That's how a major decision has to get done.
I never heard of RFP until tonight. I mean, maybe that's my ignorance, but I don't think you can expect everybody to know what those things are.
No, hold on, I'm sorry, you have to.
I never heard of RFP, and that's my ignorance, I guess, but I agree with Jim, because when the fire thing was, you know, when the firehouse and the police, I felt like I really knew, and that was nice, that was good. But I don't think saying you're engaging the public by going to some small printed item somewhere, I don't even know where to find them on the website. I just don't think that's right.
Also, I'm in the line of not having words put into my mouth, and I did not say that going out RFP was actively engaging the public.
Oh, no, I'm not accusing you of that. I'm just saying, I never heard that acronym until today.
It's a request for proposal, but yes, it is,
And how known is that? I don't know, but.
it depends, like, it's public procurement.
Oh, that I understand, but I mean, we don't.
Okay, sorry, wait.
A special note. I
Um,
know.
Please.
Wade Rossi, 114 East Palmer Ave. The first thing I want to say is Maui comparing 1 year zero cost to the borough contract with his $15 million building is apples and very large oranges. The comparison is just not adequate. It seems like this was intended as a 1 year stopgap, more or less, to figure out and make sure that we have adequate ambulance services while the commissioners actually are able to engage the public and figure out a long-term solution. Whether that's virtual or not, I don't know, I saw a virtual ambulance pulling into the police building the other day. And so I was surprised that it was happening because I had heard about the lawsuit. But it seems to me like there's some kind of mountain out of a molehill being made here because it is a 1-year thing that does not cost the taxpayers 1 cent. It costs lost revenue. There is lost revenue because from what I understand, it's because essentially our EMS is stretched to the point where it can't function. And it's been that way for 3 years. And the previous boards that Commissioner Malley was on did not address these issues that are ongoing. So I think that it's necessary to talk. I think it's a shame that we're going through this process, this lawsuit process that's preventing us from essentially, like I said, my understanding is that this is basically a stopgap and that this should be there while we find a long-term fix. Personally, I think, while I love having a ambulance 2 blocks from my house, I think that, some kind of coordination might be necessarily the actual answer. So to me, like I said, I really feel like this has gotten way bigger than it has because the former mayor chose to make a lawsuit for reasons that apparently judges like his technicality.
The judge did it on technicalities, okay.
We have an online question.
2 comments from the same person online. First, a comment that I think it's admirable that we are evaluating public contracts. It's long overdue. I am also glad that the commissioners are finally having public caucus meetings because it's been decades that we have not been in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. And then second, a question for Commissioner Malley. Why did he decide to sue the borough, making taxpayers pick up the tab for the lawsuit rather than just filing an ethics complaint, which wouldn't have cost the public anything?
Is there a name and address for this person that's?
Kate Delaney.
Kate Delaney, okay. So the, yes, I chose, actually, because there's a lawsuit doesn't mean that there's not an ethics complaint, number 1. And number 2 is because this decision, the decision of the mayor to go against her professional advice is not the way this borough should be doing business. And I understand that the argument is, but this is for a really good reason. We believe this is for a good reason, so it's okay that there's a conflict. That's not the law, okay? And if I'm deciding to do something because I think it's a really good reason, but I'm gonna be in conflict and give a contract to my brother-in-law, that is not, you are not allowed to do that. And it's not just me saying it, a judge said it today, okay? So that's why I raised it. I filed suit in order to stop that contract because it's not the way you should be doing business.
So how should business?
Name and address.
Oh, Rebecca Finkel, 916 Park Ave. Why have our EMS services been left in the lurch for so long?
I don't believe they have, and I'm more than happy. We had plans, listen, we had, look,
Data.
pardon?
By their own testimonial and data, this feels like something that you should have been closely.
Listen, you can talk to every department in the borough, and they need more people.
This seems like.
I tell you what, when you're finished, you let me know.
Wow.
When you're
This seems
finished, you
like
let me
a
know.
very important department to staff well. That's why you're so insulted.
Yeah.
So why have they been neglected for so long?
Well, we haven't been neglecting them for so long. What we've been doing is working on plans, and there's been a plan to add additional personnel into the department. The issue has always been why you don't expand and double the size of it, okay? Is there's this thing called cost, okay? And this whole notion that this is a no-cost option is ludicrous because there's $450,000 of revenue that comes from the EMS services that we receive. This contract with Virtua, I think anyway, I haven't seen any draft or anything of it, but the contract was letting them keep that money. Okay, so that means money that the borough received is going to someone else. And yet we are keeping our fire department at the exact same size. So the $450,000 in revenue that funded a part of the salaries of that fire department is gone. And the fire department was staying the same size. In most towns where EMS, where this does happen, and lately it's been getting reversed, but where it does happen, usually the fire unions are fighting the borough, the town, to stop it. Why? Because most every town says, we have 17 guys that are running ambulance and firefighter. If we're taking away your ambulance job, which you are telling is a big part of the job, well, now that we're not gonna just keep 17 to fight fires, you've got less work. So we're going from 17 to 11, and we're laying off. And what you usually see are the fire unions saying, whoa, wait a minute, we're not getting rid of jobs, okay? So we have gone through this process. I'm not gonna go through this, we're not gonna work this out with Jeffrey here, but it is, as I said in my comments earlier, I want us all to start working to solve this going forward. I want us to be doing that, not just at public caucus meetings, but hopefully soon we can get started on it right away. I talked today with Zach Halp, that I know the mayor's talked to from time to time, who's the mayor at Heights, who's a good friend, that we represent them, for full disclosure, and, he's also a fire official in Cherry Hill. And I asked him to give us some names of some folks that could come in as consultants to us to try to work on this. Fire EMS consultants that are independent consultants to come in and work on how to solve it. I would think. What's that? I'm sorry, you're making all kinds of faces.
You're
I'm
invoking your friends and relations and clients at this moment.
I am, I'm invoking
But I
someone.
really hope that you.
No, I'm not done, so you don't get to interrupt me, Rebecca, okay? So what we hope to do is to get, what I think would be best is get someone involved, a consultant involved that can help guide us. I don't love the idea of privatizing it. I would much rather we do it in-house with our own employees that we can control. Because when you bring in an outside third party, I don't care if it's Cooper, Virtua, pick whoever, they are marketing and doing what they can to cover other towns. They're looking to get that service wherever they can. I would much rather we have a dedicated Collingswood EMS fire department. If it's gonna change how it's organized, it's gonna change the size, that's fine, we look at it. But it's gotta be a process that not just all three of us are involved in, but all of us are involved.
A new one and then.
Sure.
Please go ahead.
Carol Eric, 741 Maple Terrace. My question is, how do you plan on making up that $450,000? That's more than the budget of the library.
What's difficult is that you don't see, actually, if someone opened it, they would see it. They would see the emails that Jim has with the breakdown made with Chief Joyce as to how that was going to be addressed. Because the other solutions proposed, the plan that he's referring to, was to hire 2 or 3 more office, like firemen, and just kind of speed that up. But those 2 or 3 costs is probably about $200,000 by the time you take care of. Right, so if you had a 0 cost outside bidder, that you didn't have to pay for $30,000 a year medical billing. You no longer have, we had almost $150,000 in overtime because we're so understaffed that we had forced overtime. If we were adequately staffed, that number would shrink by probably at least $100,000. So you have what you're saving medical billing, you have $100,000, you're not spending in overtime, that's $130,000. And you would still, no matter what, have to pay for 2 or 3 more staff, which if you talk with Chief Joyce, if you were at the budget meeting with Chief Joyce, that was a solution that did not fundamentally address his concerns for the well-being of his staff and for the ability of his department to answer ambulance and fire calls in a way that he felt safe for our residents. We're in the 200s, which is what hiring 2 or 3 more people would have cost anyways, but with better service and a more robust staff to be able to address multiple fire calls and ambulance calls at the same time. And that is why this was a solution that I proposed multiple times to the borough administrator and to Commissioner Maley, that regardless of the dollars and cents and getting the most attention, care, and staff to the matter as possible for the best price was, just didn't like it, and I don't know why.
Well, I'll tell you why, because I already said it, going out to a third party, sorry to exhaust you, but going out to a third party does not give you the same control over running. Virtual comes in here, they're already under contract in Gloucester City, I think they still are. They can sign up in Camden, they can then run and cover ambulances from that station, okay? When we have our own, they're a private company, they're trying to develop a profit, they're marketing that EMS where everything gets signed up, okay? How they deploy that is up to them on their property. How I think that we should run it, how we should be in the fire department, is the borough should have control over that, okay? We will listen, we need to bring outside people in to talk about this, but having a third party, not just virtual, anybody, sitting on the border of Camden, they will be covering calls there all the time. Okay, so, but listen, I don't want to fight about where it's been. I'm really honest about this going. I want us to get like a fresh start. I think the virtual contract is pretty much done after today. And if not, it will be very shortly, but I think that's done, and we need to work with the chief. All of us work on this. All the meetings that the mayor refers to, I'm not at any of those meetings, not invited to those meetings. I get an email telling me what happened. Okay, not part of the discussion. Amy's not part of the discussion, as far as I know. She might have been some, I don't know. I wasn't at any of them. Okay, we all can have a discussion and talk about how to fix it.
Can I just follow up on my question?
Follow up, then you.
Where would their home base be?
Sorry, Carol.
The third party, where would their home base be? At our fire department?
Yes.
Okay.
But they answer calls.
Eric Reinheimer, 503 Whitehorse Pike. What bothers me about all of this, and I hear all the going back and forth there, is the appearance of impropriety by our elected official. It's an appearance. I'm not accusing you of anything, but I voted for you and I have a very jaundiced eye right now for you. And I have to say, I think that the citizen Jim Maley, who's filed that lawsuit, I supported. And I think if it ends up costing the borough money, it's going to be because you didn't recuse yourself from the vote.
Thank you for sharing.
Edward, Jerry Rock said for you, and I was gonna say,
awful because they were just working to get more towns. And so we expanded from 11 to 17. Jeff was one of the ones we hired, okay? And we went from 11 to 17 to bring EMS in full-time and do it ourselves, so that we knew if we had an issue with response time, we would work on that issue with response time, and we had control over it. That's why we did it. That's what the plan with the fire chief, that was the fire department. We were all, everybody was on board, and that's what we've done. And as time calls today, listen, I wanna go over all this issue, but the issues, with the increase in calls are, a lot of people are calling 911, maybe you want to go to the doctor. Okay, there's a whole lot of other reasons, and maybe other ways we can try to address this issue instead of going out and bringing an outside agency to do it, and try to do it ourselves, try to do it with control. So that's why I voted for the RFP. Okay.
Last chance, anyone else? Okay, yes,
Can
sir.
I change the subject?
Please do.
Sure. Stop signs.
Yes, do you need something
The
pink?
pocket park.
Yes.
We're gonna paint a mural on the wall there, is that correct? Has the borough rescinded I was always under the impression that there was an ordinance that murals were not allowed in town. Is there a borough ordinance to that effect?
I think there's some limitations on it. I think it's more, I don't know, Gretchen, everybody, zoning.
What zoning is the,
It's more like if it's a sign,
if it's an advertisement for a business,
Oh.
but just know that when the borough does stuff, they're not governed by the law. Okay? Zoning doesn't get in the way of any borough activity.
The reason I ask is, I'm a member of the community garden. And we have a big wall there, it's the welding company's building that faces our garden, and it's just ugly to sin for, we got a beautiful place there. And, we tried to get a mural painted, or, to get the process going, and the former commissioner advised us that that would not be permitted, but maybe that was wrong, but can we go ahead and?
so I'm gonna let Lindsay Ferguson give
Hi.
chime in here real quick.
We are going to be forming a creative arts committee, a public art committee. So the mural at the Pocket Park is just the first of what we hope will be many displays of public art, not just murals, but different mediums.
No, because the wall, that's the welding company,
Stouts.
Stouts.
Yep.
A wonderful company, even though you don't like the wall.
They've done, I've worked with them, they're great people, and they also, I talked to them one time, they said, whatever we wanna do with
Yeah.
the wall is fine with them.
Awesome. We'll put you on the
So,
list.
we have permission, just like I'm sure you have proof grounds for
And there's-
that wall.
Yeah, we're going to be identifying some sites so we can put that as like a possibility.
And there's gonna be a
When we
process,
start going out.
Be a process.
Yeah.
By which you, as a group, as the in community gardens, have a wall.
Hopefully soon.
Right, and there'll be guidelines, right, like make sure that you have the approval of the owner of the building,
Mhm.
and then, budgetary concerns, how are you gonna get it paid for, wanna make sure that once it's up, it's. Stays up, it's not flaking, and what kind of material you're using, and this committee will be overseeing that process, and it's something that's been formed alongside with Wisconsin Civic Association, it's gonna be run
Bid.
it's gonna be run through the bid, the business improvement district, which is what other places like Philly and Baltimore that have really robust mural operations have been doing, so we're trying to use best practices, so that we can have some pretty artwork. Thanks, oh, you're gonna change it again, alright, go ahead.
I have several. Was it 23 or 24, we passed the shade tree ordinance that requires permits to take down trees? I pay that permit fee, and I'm just wondering how that is going, where that money is going to, is that being enforced? Is that really working, that process?
I do know that our zoning officer has had more workload because of the applications I'm trying to see if there's a sub item on her report that has the shade tree numbers on it.
And does that money go into the general fund, or where does that money go? Does it go to planting trees in the town?
Cassandra, you know where it goes?
I believe it's required to go to tree trust.
Goes into a tree trust.
I have checked, but I understand.
Generally, yes,
Fantastic.
it has to be used for,
Plant other trees.
exactly,
Yeah.
tree shrub.
I'll stop by.
Oh, and I can say that for the monthly report of December, there were 0 tree removal permits, but it's also a cold month, should be bringing down.
Yeah.
Things, something's a little frozen right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm just wondering what the compliance on it is too. Whether there's any enforcement.
well, as with other things, a lot of code enforcement is, being made aware, and there are ways to report that. So that's, again, that's kind of on our citizens, our neighbors to enforce that, because we don't have the manpower to be going out and checking on things like that one by one. Last one though. Last one.
The plan to build housing out here in the lot when the old public works building is being, is there anything being planned back here out that all fell through? Is there any thinking going on about that area?
Beyond the fact that in 2027, we hope to create a new master plan, go out for a new master plan for the borough.
Yeah.
And that would be a space that we absolutely would like to engage professionals to give a vision for what a space that, first of all, the borough owns, and second of all, so central and right off of, the main business corridor. So that would be an area to be looked at to see what.
In the preparation of a master plan, are there public meetings that are held?
Yes, so you know what, you're beating me to it. We're gonna have a steering committee that'll be working the full year of 2026. We don't know how many members. We're gonna have an open application for people who want to be on the steering committee. We have some retired planners in town, different professionals who have expertise that I think would be willing to lend their time to the steering committee, because part of an RFP is what we've heard back from planning professionals and the groups that would respond and then execute and create a master plan, is that depending on how much meat is in the RFP, so like the RFP pretty much lays out all the things that you want to see in your proposal. We want a chapter on affordable housing in our master plan. We want a chapter on walkability and bike lanes. We want a chapter on a tree study, a shade tree commission. And the more information that is in your RFP about your population, the more census data, the more public communications that have happened, because we've had these public meetings and we found that this is what people are asking for time and time again. This is what they asked for 10 years ago. Here are the results of the rec master plan, for example. And the more information that you can provide, and then you can target where the community is right now, can have one of these firms, when they reply and they submit to be like, here, please choose us to do the program, they can flesh out what they can offer and what vision they have for creating that plan, and it'll be much hardier and potentially cost less, because the legwork of having the community like the community feedback and the nights where you come and you put the dots and you pick what you like. If we can do a lot of that ourselves through the steering committee before and that's through volunteers, as opposed to hiring a firm to come in and ask our community what they think, we can probably ask the community what they think ourselves, and organize that data. So that's kind of, I don't know, kind of went off the rails there, but that's. And anyone else?
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna comment since it's during public comment. My name is Caitlin Harding Dorcha. I'm a former Collingswood resident. I practice law exclusively and doing pretty much all local, municipal, and government work. This is what I do every day of the week. I want the community to have faith in me. I'm looking forward to coming back and working in Collingswood and working with all the commissioners. I'm gonna stick around after the meeting if anybody wants to come and ask me questions, but again, I'm looking forward to working with everybody here.
We'll be adjourned.
Second. All right, have a good night, everybody. Stay warm. Happy New Year. Really? Not